Hey, this is CityCast Portland host Claudia Meza. At the end of today's episode, we have a sponsored segment brought to you by the International School of Portland. I'm talking to Bodo Heiliger, who's going to talk with me about what makes their language immersion approach so unique and why more families are turning to globally focused education right here in Portland. So stick around, especially if you've got kids in your life, because you'll also hear about their upcoming open house on April 24th and what to expect if you go check it out.
Diamore Law Group believes personal injury is about public safety, not just a settlement check. Led by veteran trial attorney Tom Diamore, with over 30 years of experience holding negligent drivers, corporations, and unsafe institutions accountable across Oregon. And clients pay nothing unless they win. If you or someone you love has been seriously injured, call 503-222-6333 or visit diamorelaw.com to schedule a free consultation.
This is CityCast Portland. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about how a new law banning law enforcement from covering up their face in Oregon will actually work, why Amazon is paying a multi-million-dollar settlement to Morrow County, and we're also looking into Multnomah County, unable to track how hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gift cards and cash incentives were distributed. Joining me are KBOO News Director Althea Billings and our very own executive producer, John Notarianni. You guys, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Hey, how's it going, Claudia?
Hey, Claudia.
Hello. My mouth is just waking up.
Perfect.
I'm sure our producer is going to do a great job of editing this, but I stumbled 5 times just trying to get that out. Just trying to get everyone's name out, which I've said hundreds of times.
A lot of new faces on this podcast. Yeah.
I'm like, John. How do I mess up John? All right, anyhow. Before we jump into the news, I usually ask an opening question so any new listeners can get to know our guests just a little better. And like yesterday, we all found out together that Brian M. Vance, a friend and colleague of ours, John and I's, for nearly a decade, was not familiar with Bruce Springsteen in the slightest, which was cuckoo bananas.
Sorry?
It was kind of amazing, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, isn't he like an indie rock guy or something? I'm like, Bruce Springsteen?
Sorry?
I was like, wow, I would have never known.
Well, to be the person to break the news of Bruce Springsteen has got to be pretty fun as well.
That's what we said. We're like, we're so excited for you, Brian. He did text us after the fact and said, you know what? I've been listening to Bruce Springsteen. And I think what he said was, he's pretty good.
Yeah, right. Not bad. Guy's got a future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Anyhow, today's opening question, I think everyone will be able to answer, and it is inspired by reporter Lizzie Acker from The Oregonian putting out a ranked list of 18 Oregon license plate designs, which I gotta say, in my humble opinion, she got wrong. But go check the article out yourself. We're linking it in our show notes. See if you agree with her picks. She thinks Smokey the Bear is number 1, and I think we have better plates out there. It's a good plate, but I just think we have better ones out there. Anyhow, my question to you guys is, if you could design an Oregon license plate, what would it look like? What would be on it? And bonus, if you have a favorite existing license plate design, I'm just curious, like, which one you think should be number 1.
Shout out to the bee license plate design to go and protect Oregon's bees, which is actually on my car.
Oh, you chose it, or did it come with the car?
Chose it. Yeah. Paid a little bit extra for it. I was like, I'm feeling frisky at the DMV. Let's do it.
I often am when I go down there.
Yeah.
My pick, maybe not Oregon-centric, but very Portland-centric. Here's my idea.
Okay.
Custom license plates for every bridge in Portland. With the caveat, though, that you have to get the bridge that is closest to your house, right? Like no Southsiders trying to represent the St. John's Bridge here. If you're closest to the Tillicum, you get the Tillicum. If you're closest to the Selwood Bridge, you get the Selwood Bridge.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah. My culture is in your costume, you guys. I hate it when I see the St. John's Bridge up places and I'm like, we're downtown, baby. What are you doing here? But anyhow, I love that idea, John.
I was thinking, right, what is classic Oregon stuff that's not represented on a plate? And I was like, beer. Wait, no. Can't put that on a car.
No,
We don't want to put that on your license
don't do that
plate.
either.
This guy loves beer.
This guy loves beer, he loves weed. That's Oregon stuff that we're not putting on a license plate.
pull me over so I can tell you how much I love beer and weed.
It's probable cause, basically, and we don't need
Yeah.
any more of that. My serious answer, there's not one. I was surprised to see that there isn't a license plate with one of our beautiful coastal vistas with our big old rocks. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's
yeah.
haystack or something else. We got plenty of big old rocks out there that would go great on a plate.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. What's your favorite plate right now?
I like the one with the whale.
Me too. I love the whale one. Yeah.
Aw.
Okay. My favorite license plate right now. I love, God, I'm so boring, but I love just the like classic blue and yellow that says Pacific Wonderland.
Yeah, it's a strong one.
And it's weirdly very expensive. And it's the one I didn't buy because like I was also feeling frisky, John. And I ended up getting the Crater Lake one because it was in my price range and you don't have to pay for it every time you redo your plates or your registration, whatever that's called. And mine was like a one-time deal. And I like Crater Lake.
That's a very pretty one as well.
Thanks, guys. Okay, on to the news of the week. Althea, how is Oregon going to enforce a new no mask policy for federal law enforcement?
Yeah. So last week, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek signed the Law Enforcement Accountability and Visibility Act, which is sort of Oregon's remix of what California has been trying to do. A few other states have tried to pass bans to keep officers from wearing masks and not being identified. And the California version was blocked in February. So there were a lot of iterations in the legislature to figure out, hey, what is something that can stand up to a lawsuit, which will inevitably happen? What is something that will survive that lawsuit? And then what is something that would actually do anything? So importantly, it extends to all law enforcement in the state, federal, county, local, whatever. But in this ban that, requires that officers don't wear face coverings except for specific like tactical purposes, and that, they have to display their name or their badge number and what agency they're working for, it is enforced by individual complainants. It's not something that the state necessarily has a formal reporting process for or an agency for tracking these kinds of complaints, which is interesting because it's going to come down to private cases and private attorneys to actually enforce this. But you can think of it as something to add on to many of the cases that we've seen about immigration enforcement, where people are being snatched off the street by people in unmarked vans, not identifying themselves, no warrant, no probable cause. This is something that could be added into one of those cases that you also broke state law. And what they'll be looking for is for a court to provide injunctive relief, which I like the way that in the Oregonian article, Representative Farah described it as the court telling you, hey, this is illegal, knock it off, as a way to describe injunctive relief, which I like. So that's kind of what's happening, and that, in the next couple months, all law enforcement agencies in the state are required to figure out their own policy of how to keep this enforced.
And forgive me if you mentioned this, but the recourse would be actually suing the agency, right?
Yeah,
Not
it's the
individual
agency.
officer, So that means like, all right, now you can, under state law, you can sue ICE by yourself, which, sort of feels like the equivalent of like putting a comment box of like, I did not like that. And they will say, thank you. We will take that under consideration. I mean, totally on board with there being some sort of law here, but like, actually getting recourse here feels quite difficult.
Agreed. Because it's basically a civil lawsuit at that point, no?
Yeah, it's not criminal. So yeah, it would be civil, but it's to add some sort of relief for a court to say it. But part of it is why the California law has been stopped, and part of the idea that, this is going to face a federal lawsuit. So it has to apply to all agents in the state, regardless of whether they're state, local, or federal. And that it would survive a supremacy clause challenge, which is basically when the federal government gets to say, we don't have a law, like our law about this supersedes what state and localities would have. So there's a balance, there's a tension. I think that folks want it to go further, but this is something that could end up stacking up. But I don't think it's like the balm for everything. Also, something possibly worth noting is that it broadens some of our sanctuary state protections because it also stops state employees from intentionally assisting ICE. Our existing sanctuary state protections mean that law enforcement can't do that, but it would also extend those rules to, people who work at public universities and stuff like that.
To me, this is the big part of it. This is like the really potentially meaningful protection, because like you could very easily see a situation where somebody who works for a public university or like, a state office is put in a position where they are being told that they have to coordinate with ICE, and to sort of create a law that excludes them intentionally, I think is very, very smart and that could lead to real change.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do wonder, like, this could potentially put individual state employees in a pretty uncomfortable place. Like, if you really play it out, okay, there's a situation where they are told that they have to sort of coordinate with ICE. Then they say, no, there's a state law preventing me from having to do so. So then they're sort of put in this position of having to juggle state and federal law as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that they try to think through all of the ways that it could be overturned by the federal government. So in that, I see how careful the law was laid out, but I feel like it's very difficult for the everyday person to navigate. It's like you have to be a lawyer or have to have the funds for a lawyer. It just doesn't seem like anyone could really just take it up. But I guess, it's there for protection. I just don't understand how somebody, like you said, Althea, like this feels more like a comment. Like, please don't.
Right. It feels like it'll be looped in with other charges. That's how I'm sort of reading it. Although you, as someone witnessing law enforcement wearing a mask, have the ability to sue them, even if they don't do something to you personally, which is kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. One other aspect, right, is that this is meant to be a deterrent for people who might pose as ICE to try to exploit this unfortunate new normal.
There we go.
Although, unforeseen consequence, guys, we just inadvertently outlawed superheroes. Like, no more Batman, no more masked crusaders are allowed as a byproduct of this law.
Yeah, John, you're right. I guess someone should
Claudia is
reverse
speechless.
that.
I wonder, is it only lower face coverings? Because that's what ICE has been using. But like superheroes, a lot of
like
times they're
Zorro?
just covering the eyes and nose.
Oh, they might need to make an amendment to specify
which part of
your face.
Oh my
cheekbones
God.
must be exposed, but the bridge of your nose, you can cover that.
Can I tell you what I immediately thought, John, when you said that? I was just like, you know what? I'm actually surprised we don't have more people masking up. After all these movies and everything, I was like, you know what? I'm a little disappointed in us.
Portland, sort of like comic
exactly.
culture, vigilanteism. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? It didn't even start and it's over. Whatever.
What we could have had.
It's like when they banned texting and driving, Didn't even get to find out if I was good. That's not my joke.
Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, I have updates to the ongoing data center drama in Morrow County. Looking for something fun and free to do with the kids? On Friday, April 17th and Saturday, April 18th, YMCA is celebrating Healthy Kids Day. It's happening at locations all across the Portland Metro and Southwest Washington. It's a national YMCA event that helps families stay active, healthy, and connected with creative projects, outdoor games, and even family swim at select sites. Again, Healthy Kids Day is totally free, and you can find your closest event and full schedule at ymcacw.org/HKD-FM. That's ymca.org/HKD-FM.
Spring home buying season is back in Portland. That home you're in love with, the Portland bungalow with room for garden beds in the backyard and easy access to the Max line, it's fetching multiple offers. If you are in the market anywhere in the Portland metro area and feel like your offers aren't getting accepted, talk to James Adair at Neo Home Loans powered by Better. James has spent more than 20 years helping Portland families get their offers accepted. And he's put together a list of 12 specific ways to improve your offer. He calls it the unfair buyer advantage. You don't need more offers. You need one that wins. Download his free playbook at unfairbuyeradvantage.com. That's unfairbuyeradvantage.com. James Adair, NMLS 272766 with Better Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 330511, an equal housing lender.
So, you guys, this Tuesday, Amazon agreed to pay $20.5 million to settle allegations that its data centers in Morrow County contaminated groundwater. Now, here's the interesting part. That area full of farmers and ranchers and food processors and, PGE. So the nitrogen runoff they're experiencing is also coming from, a bunch of other industries like fertilizers, animal manure, and wastewater. But the claims are that though they're not the originator of the pollution, Amazon somehow intensified the crisis with concentrated runoff from its data centers. Here's how they're thinking that's happening. If you weren't aware, data centers use an enormous amount of water to cool their computers, which much of the water evaporates during that cooling process. So Amazon's water in Morrow County comes largely from the port of Morrow, which drew it from local wells, which has nitrates from all the things that I was just talking about. So after the water has evaporated, plaintiffs in the case say what's left is highly concentrated nitrates that were only present at lower concentrations to begin with, but then in comes Amazon with their, groundwater evaporation. So in a sense, Amazon is collecting and intensifying the ongoing issue that the community is already facing with nitrogen runoff. That's the assertion. And that's just the beginning. This lawsuit is going to continue on behalf of local residents against the food processors, farms, utilities, and the port of Morrow. So it's not just Amazon on the hook for the pollution. And just a quick recap, Amazon has also been scrutinized for their data center dealings with Morrow County officials because those same Morrow County officials are now getting sued in civil court by the state for selling a public asset for far less than it was worth to themselves, and then using that public asset, that same company, they sold to themselves for like nothing to secure a multi-million-dollar deal with Amazon, cheating the public of millions and millions of dollars and pocketing all of that money for themselves. And these are the same officials that also offered Amazon a 15-year tax abatement for each data center it built, which would be worth billions to the company, which would also be money back to the community. You see where I'm going here? So prosecutors and people in the community are just calling bullshit on Morrow County officials and Amazon. Though there has been no lawsuit brought against Amazon for improper business dealings, just the Morrow County officials. This is the first settlement that they've been on the hook for. Both Google and Amazon are building out data centers in Central and Eastern Oregon. Amazon specifically has a large installation of data centers spanning from Boardman to Hermiston, and they're expanding rapidly because our state has no regulations of consequence on data center expansion. And earlier this month, Amazon acquired 1,300 acres near the Boardman Airport for a project described as Oregon's first exascale data center. The company also plans to expand into neighboring Gillum County. And though data centers do provide construction jobs for the initial build out, depending on the size of the data center, usually they need anywhere between 8 to 200 full-time employees. And there are some data centers running with less than 10 people right now. They don't really provide a large amount of jobs for the area, and they suck up energy and water at a rate that appears to be unsustainable for the neighboring communities. So not sure why these communities are so quick to sell their land and why our state is not keeping better tabs on the expansion. But that being said, data centers need to exist. They need to go somewhere. So
do they? Sorry.
Yeah,
hold on.
They do.
Whoa. I was on board with everything you said.
They do, though. This freaking podcast would not be here. We're literally...
We have to give up our land to the corporate overlords. They're making us.
That's not what I'm saying. But it's just easy to be like, boo, data centers. They do need to exist, but we also need regulations.
Yeah. Let's put them in Washington. Okay. Obviously talked a lot about data centers on this show. The sort of environmental damage of data centers is real and dangerous and bad. That being said, This is a situation where, like, I almost feel a little bit bad for Amazon because what they're saying is there's been this agricultural runoff from these farms that are sort of leaching fertilizer into the water supply. And it was okay until Amazon showed up and just like concentrated it a bit. And the poison that was already in the water became more concentrated and worse. So they're like, but this is your water. This was here before we got here.
Don't feel sorry for Amazon in the slightest.
Quite opposite. I made a crazy face when you said that.
Normally I do. Normally I'm all team Amazon, but I don't know about this one.
Have mercy on me, Daddy Bezos. No, I get what you're saying. It is the sort of thing where Morrow County water has been kind of bad for 30 years and nobody was really doing anything about it. And people are saying that their wells have 4 times the amount that the EPA says is safe to have nitrates.
Yeah.
It increases your risk of cancer, birth defects, miscarriage, thyroid disease, like serious health impacts for people who've maybe lived in their home for 30 years, tested their well water back then, and this is something that has changed massively. I think Amazon paying to settle and to get out of this suit early is very strategic for them. They got $20 million to burn. This will allow it to prolong so that for the plaintiffs who are trying to like put together this class action and trying to get money together for all of these different parties to have some kind of remediation for the groundwater, Amazon bailing out early like keeps their name out of it. I think there's a big benefit for them, and they got the money to burn. I don't think that they're so hard up for it in the way that Morrow County residents who have to dig deeper wells or who have to get cancer treatment, right? There's a difference, a disparity in impact there.
Yeah, and in their settlement, they were able to state that their runoff was negligent.
Right. They get to say, it was not my fault, but here's $20 million. Have fun fighting each other
John
in
was
court.
saying, they're just like, hey, that was here. We're just concentrating it. The truth is, though, that they've been trying to get this suit moving forward forever because, the pollution's been there forever. So this is a big name. We're seeing a big settlement, but this lawsuit is continuing. And they're trying to get, everybody on the hook for it. I hope that they continue reporting on this. I know this was sort of like wrapped up with the whole data center thing because it's still Amazon data centers. This is why. But this in itself is like such an interesting story that Morrow County has such terrible groundwater. Like the fact that it's gotten this bad. Mm-hmm. I'm curious like where the rest of that lawsuit goes.
Oh, Morrow County. What'll you do next?
I feel sorry for, it's so funny, John. You're like, I feel sorry for Amazon. I'm like, I feel sorry for Morrow County. Like this is just one more thing for Morrow County. First, their officials steal from them, make a gajillion dollars off Amazon. And then this, look at, Morrow County can't catch a break.
They could use some positive press. Yeah. Not that we're providing that, but we'll put it out there.
Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, John is going to tell us where he put all the Multnomah County gift cards. All right, John, what is going on with Multnomah County and these gift cards, and why is this even a story?
I have all the gift cards, but it turns out they're all for Dave & Buster's. So if anybody wants to go play video games, it's on me.
Let's go.
So this is on some great reporting that Austin DeDios at the Oregonian has been doing over the last several months. The saga of the Multnomah County Health Department trying to account for hundreds of thousands of dollars in spending, things like gift cards, but also stuff like transit tickets. So the county has had this system where they give out things like gift cards to encourage people to get preventative care or like participate in focus groups. It's sort of a way to get this money out to the neediest people in a really quick, effective way. The problem is the tracking of this spending just fell apart during the pandemic. The finance director of the health department launched a review of this last fall because he could tell, like, we are not keeping up on the paperwork here, and found that there was just a ton of gaps in the logs. In January, there was $272,000 that had been unaccounted for. As of last week, there was still no records for about 131 gift cards that went out, totaling about $151,000. The policy does require that they get logged within 5 days, but still 126 purchases were still missing logs, and 5 purchases were completely unaccounted for. This is a big deal because, like, gift cards basically function like cash. You know, once they're out, you can't track them anymore. So it's really important to trace them. And there is a real potential for sort of malfeasance and misappropriation here. I mean, think about like the Saudi princes in your inbox that are like trying to get you to buy gift cards for them. It's a real thing. And this has really hit cities before. In Baltimore, about 15 years ago, the mayor actually got convicted of embezzlement on a real gift card scam where she was like spending gift cards that were supposed to go to neediest children.
Oh my God, Baltimore.
Yeah. Sheila Dixon, we have so much hope for you. Again, this is not a situation where we're saying that there was actually graft. There is not an accusation that this was like redirected and stolen. But it is really, really important that this sort of tracking takes place, especially for a local government that is under fire for both wasteful spending and a huge budget deficit. So they are frantically trying to track down where these gift cards were spent, and thankfully putting in a number of new protections to prevent this from happening in the future.
Yeah, that's good. Like maybe following their own protocol.
Yeah.
At first, when I glanced at this, John, I thought it was gift cards that they gave their own employees. Mm-hmm. You know? And I just was like, who cares? Yeah. Like it comes from a certain fund. And if you gave it to Billy or Bob, like who cares? Yeah. But it does matter if it's for the public, for the neediest. You want to make sure it's going to the public and to the neediest people. So, I mean, I know that you just said they're not being accused of misappropriating these funds or whatever. It's just more of like, hey, you should keep better track of it. Mm-hmm. But now I'm understanding. And I got to tell you, I have friends who've worked for the health department, and what they have to work with is the fact that we are as healthy as we are. The fact that how they dealt with the pandemic, all these things, like just like standing ovation, like the Oregon Health Department and the Multnomah Health Department is just trying their hardest on almost nothing. So yeah, I can imagine why this would slip their mind.
And you can also imagine, like, put yourself back into the midst of the pandemic. Traditional clinics aren't as easy to access. There's a ton of people that are desperately in need of healthcare. Like, it makes sense that there would be a situation where it's like, we have this tool that can get money, that can offer life-saving care in people's hands really, really quickly. And like, bravo to the county for getting that money out there to people that is going to help. And again, this is self-reported. This wasn't like there was an audit of it. They were like, hey, we made a mistake and we have to fix it.
Yeah.
Which they are working on doing. But like, yeah, the sort of the tracking had sort of been fallen behind. And they also said that like just the way that the tracking was supposed to work is really confusing. But they are working on a whole bunch of like more reviews, as well as a defined custodian of the card is what they called it. Mm-hmm. So like, you know,
promotion alert.
Even if the tracking gets screwed up, we know that we gave it to Tammy, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's good. I mean, one way to avoid accusations of misappropriation is to say, no, here's the log. I know exactly where it went. Yep. I was going to say, I can't really be that mad or frustrated or confused about it because I personally lose a lot of gift cards. Why in my head am I like, oh, I'll put it in my bedside drawer, or like, oh, my sock drawer, or I'm going to put it in this purse that I don't use anymore. And then I find the gift card and then now it's expired. All of this to say, give me cash, not gift cards, if you want your money to be well spent. Are you guys good at keeping gift cards around, or are you like me in the Multnomah County Health Department?
There is unconfirmed reporting that the $100 million that was discovered at the Housing Bureau was also all gift cards.
What?
I don't have a source. No, that's not true.
What?
That's not true. That's not true. That is fake news.
Althea, to answer your question, I always lose gift cards. I feel bad. Even the ones that are emailed to me. Like,
especially if they're emailed. Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know, man. I feel really bad, but like, I don't know what it is. And it's me. It's a me problem, you know? Yeah.
Or I remember and then I spend some of it and then there's like $3 left, but I've also lost that. So there's $3 somewhere floating around, but I can't, and it's not enough to, you know, maybe the gift cards are the problem. You guys think about that?
Oh my God.
It's not the healthcare system. It's the gift cards.
Well, it could be both, I guess. I got a big enough heart that there can be multiple problems.
Well, You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Thanks for going through some of these headlines. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend, rate, leave us a good review. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks like ad-free listening by becoming a CityCast Portland neighbor. Just visit membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's, or what is it? Something in Buster's that you were talking about, John?
Dave and Buster's.
That's right. I guess that's where we're going. We're going to Dave and Buster's.
We're playing skee ball. Let's go.
$150,000 of skee ball and beer.